So in this lesson, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about printing. Now, as I said earlier, when I printed this, I used a 3D printer that was in my classroom, and I printed each of these 3 objects on a separate file and then assembled the pieces after they were printed using a special kind of glue that's like on the back of mirrors a lot of times to the underside of the lid, and then actually had the image on the lid painted. So when you look on the example right here and you see the lid is a different color, it's because it's actually acrylic paint on the filament. We use just white filament so that we can paint it any color we want, and that has worked well for us. But you have other options for printing as well. So when you want a 3D print, you can choose design and then download for 3D printing. So I typically do just the STL file, but notice you can do these file types in addition to an SVG file type, which is great for laser cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and click the STL file and get it downloaded. Once it's downloaded, you can print it yourself if you have your own 3D printer, or you can actually go to websites out there that are 3D printing services and have your object printed, which is pretty cool because you can use different colors. You can use an array of different materials. You're not limited to just like the plastic filament that a lot of the standard basic 3D printers use. So one website where you can go and have this done is called Shapeways. It is not the only one. If you search 3D printing service, you will find a whole lot of other ones, but Shapeways is just a really popular one, and I've had good luck using Shapeways. So I want to take you on a quick tour of Shapeways. So if you want to upload something that you made, you can choose Make and Start Creating, and then Upload Model. They do have 3D tools actually built into Shapeways, though, that are going to be a little bit more basic. So you can sign in with your Google account. And now that I'm signed in, I can choose Upload Model. And notice it says you can do model units, millimeters, inches, or meters. So in a very early lesson, I said it was a good idea to stick with millimeters for especially smaller objects. So that actually works well here. And then you've got your supported file types down here at the bottom. And STL, which is the one that we chose, is actually one of them. But notice OBJ is up here as well. You've got for color prints, the different file types you can use. And you've got private by default so that other people can't see it. So you select your file. You go on your computer, select the file, and it'll upload, and you just click the upload button. I've actually already uploaded mine, and you can see what it looks like here. One thing I noticed when it did load is that the lid, the top where it has the baseball image, it looks like I needed to maybe make it a little bit smaller or slide it over to the left, because I see a little bit of a ledge here on the right side, but on the left side, but on the right side, it looks like it just kind of falls off. So that might be something I want to go back and tweak, but everything else looks pretty good. And it gives me a little bit of information about my object, but then if I scroll down, I can see the different materials that I can have it printed with. Now, as you'll see, the lowest price was $84, which is definitely, on the expensive side. Again, there are other websites that you can try to test for 3D printing services, but when you think about 3D printers costing thousands of dollars sometimes, this actually may not be a bad deal. The filament, by the way, for the 3D printer is kind of like ink cartridges for laser printers or other printers, is actually not very expensive. So if you do have a 3D printer, or you do plan on printing something a lot, and you want to invest in a 3D printer, just know that the filament, like that plastic that melts to form your object, is not very expensive. So notice you can actually, so this is view issues for some of my stainless steel options, but I do have options for like transparent acrylic, which is pretty cool, in addition to white and black acrylic, as well as like frosted plastic, which looks pretty cool, and metallic plastic, or I can do a color. So anyway, just wanted to show you that you have options for printing if you don't have a 3D printer using a 3D print service. Tinkercad has actually made it easier to order your objects straight from a 3D printing service directly within the Tinkercad interface. So, for example, instead of downloading it for 3D printing it here by choosing Design, Download for 3D Printing, you also have this option to order a 3D print. And here are some of the 3D print services that Tinkercad connects directly with. And notice, of course, Shapeways is the first one on here. So that's how you can print your 3D object.